the number one way to break a bad habit. Let's dive in. All right, open up the whiteboard here. Number one way to break a bad habit. So first of all, we got to talk about what is a habit just so we know. Now, I think the easiest way to talk about what is a habit is it's kind of a pattern. There's a process to a habit. But what a habit actually is an unconscious pattern. Okay? Should have put a little space there. An unconscious pattern. That's what a habit is. It's a process that we do that's typically unconscious. Now, here's the thing though, is that once you catch yourself in that habit, in that process, acting out in a way that you know isn't in alignment with what you do want, once you catch a habit, it's no longer a habit. It becomes then a decision to continue to act that way. So what a habit really is an unconscious pattern. So the brain can preserve energy. So basically what happens is that we get into the repetition of doing something, which I'll show you how the process works. And then eventually we keep getting this good feeling from it. And our brain loves good feelings, right? Drugs and all this stuff, rewards, like all that stuff gives you those good feelings. We typically are motivated to do things not because of what the accomplishment itself is. Like, let's say you buy this new car, right? It's not because the actual car itself, it's because what you think you're going to feel and be when you do get that car. Okay, it's the experience you think you're going to get. It's the feeling, the emotion that you think you're going to get, and that's why you buy the car. So, we have these habits because we take these actions and then we start to tie in certain little beliefs on why I need to do this action still. It helps me with this, wherever it may be. And we keep doing it, we keep getting this good feeling, and eventually it just becomes an unconscious pattern. Eventually it just becomes automatic. It's part of your day. It's just a routine. For example, like brushing your teeth. When you're really young, you weren't born with the habit of brushing your teeth, right? It was a learned behavior. And how you learned it is by probably your parents, and basically they would make you do it, right? So you'd brush your teeth, you'd do it, and then reward you, great job, awesome job, or maybe there's a feeling behind it, whatever it may be. And eventually brushing your teeth just became a habit, an unconscious pattern that you do consistently. And look how much it served you. If you're someone who consistently brushes their teeth, look how much it served you. You probably have some nice, white, beautiful teeth, right? That one little habit change. So it's pretty powerful, pretty powerful. So that's basically what a habit is. So diving into this is the habit. So how the process works is there's always a trigger, an action, and a reward. So I'm going to show you an example. Let's say you're a smoker. Okay. So here's how the process would work. So number one is the trigger. Now a trigger might be, let's say, lunch break. So as soon as lunch break comes around, either you see the 12 p.m. or the bell, that instantly starts the trigger. Okay. Once we have a trigger, then becomes the action. All right. And then let's say the action is you go outside, you pull out your cigarettes or whatever it is that you're smoking, and you take action on it. And then number three is the reward. And the reward is always the feeling we get from it, right? The pleasure or whatever we get from the action. And then the cycle just repeats itself. So that is how the pattern works. So if you're ever reflecting on yourself and trying to find your habits, right? Try to find what are the things that give me so much pleasure in my life and see if you can find the pattern behind it, right? Okay, that's the reward. So what do I do to get that good feeling? And what starts that, right? Or you could try to find the trigger, action, where it may be. I keep smoking and I don't want to be a smoker anymore. I keep eating at nighttime and I don't want to do that anymore, right? Now, also, I should tell you about dopamine. So, dopamine is what fuels the motivation fuel, right? So, dopamine is actually what science actually shows is that dopamine comes, you get those hits of dopamine from the anticipation of going after something and what you think it's going to make you feel. Okay, it's not actually doing it itself that will give you the dopamine. Like, yes, that does happen, but the real spike in dopamine happens from the anticipation of you doing that thing and getting that reward. So typically, this is where the dopamine spike will start to happen around the trigger. Oh, also, and your dopamine's most spiking, you get the best reward when it's kind of like 50-50. You're going for it, but you don't know 100% that it's actually going to work out or not, right? So you're in a race or something like that. You're working on a big project or a business or something like that, and you're fully aligned with it. That's when like you really get the spike, or so say. So the dopamine starts around here when the trigger, and then it just amps up, right? You're going to take action, and then you get the last spike here. So that's kind of how the dopamine process works. Now, when it comes to the belief trap, so this is something that nobody ever really talks about. Typically, we only talk about these three things, right? Is okay, so habits is you have a trigger, an action, or reward. So if you want to change the pattern, you got to break the pattern, right? But one thing we often forget is that, like I said before, a habit is an unconscious pattern. But once a habit is realized, it then becomes a decision, right? So then the question becomes, why are you deciding to continue to act in that way, even though you know it's not in alignment with who you want to become? So this is where we get to dive into understanding our beliefs and how truly powerful our belief systems and our brains and our minds really are. So the belief trap. So if you take a look at your beautiful brain, right? The brain will only, this is key to know this, okay? Really want to zone in on this piece, is that the brain is only going to do what's best for you. You will only do what your brain believes is best for it. Period. You will only continue to do what the brain believes is best for it. This is what I mean by when we find that habit, it then becomes a decision. So what that means is that the brain must believe there is a reason for you to continue to do that bad habit because it is doing something good. It is good for you or is best for you or safe and secure, whatever it may be. There's a reason why. Because if that reason wasn't there, there would be no need to continue to act that way. So here's what happens, okay? So let's do an example of an addiction or let's do smoking again. Okay, so here's how it works. So let's say smoking starts off with just you taking action and you're doing it the odd time, right? At parties or when you're out with the girls or the guys or whatever it may be, and you start doing it, right? And then let's say over time, though, what continues to happen is that when you get stressed, you start to go out for a cigarette. Okay, so now you get into the pattern of I'm stressed out, I need a cigarette. Okay, so now I'm smoking, the emotion is I'm stressed. Now, and then the reward is the feeling, right? So now we've got a pattern forming. You get stressed, that's the trigger. The action is you smoke, and then the reward is a feeling. And the brain's like, oh, this is good. I like this. I keep getting this feeling. So you're telling me that if I continue to keep smoking, I'm going to get the reward of feeling better? I want that. Let's keep doing that. So then over time, what happens is that we start to form beliefs. I can't handle stress. And this is a limiting belief because is that universally true? Have you never been able to handle stress in your entire life? Is that true for the future? Obviously not, right? That's a limiting belief. That limits you. So we know that's not universally true, but our brain comes up with that reason because here's the thing is that how the entire process works, right? Where our brain will only do what's best for us is our core belief systems produce the thoughts that we typically have, which a thought held for 7 seconds produces an emotion, right? Thought and emotions held together over time creates your identity, and you naturally take action based off of this, right? Your identity, yourself, your behaviors kind of form around those thoughts and emotions. So then you take action and then you get the reward in your life. So if you have a belief system that forms over time of you continue to just act out in this way of a harmless way, right? I just want to smoke here and there at the parties, whatever it may be. This is how it creeps up on us. And then we start to form this belief. Then it becomes like solidified. Then the brain's like, no, I need to do this because like I truly believe I can't handle stress, right? Even though logically thinking, it's like, that's BS. The brain doesn't care about that. Doesn't care about that. So if we have a core belief of I can't handle stress, the thoughts and then the emotions and the actions and the feelings, and it just repeats itself over and over and over and over again, right? And then it's like, I can't handle stress now without having a cigarette. And it becomes terrifying, right? The brain's like alert mode. No, no, no. What are we doing? Let's not do that. Let's not cut it out, right? So the beauty behind this is, yes, we can find the pattern and change the pattern. And I'm going to give you some action steps on that after. But one of the fastest ways to break a habit is to break the core belief that was behind it in the whole time. I can't handle stress. All right. Because think of it. I can't handle stress produces what? Thoughts of, oh, this is overwhelming. Okay, this is a heavy task. Oh, this is going to be a stressful day at work. Right. And then the more and more we start thinking about that, or we start thinking about things that we need to do, or whatever it may be, we start feeling that stress starts popping up. And as soon as that starts, that's the trigger. And then we start getting the craving, right? The dopamine starts coming up. And then eventually we take action. We have a cigarette because we're starting to feel that stress. It's happening in real time. And then we get the reward, the relief, the feeling. So, yeah, we can change the pattern all we want. But here's the thing, guys, that rooted belief is in there. Odds are it's going to be very hard to try to make a sustainable change. You're going to have to put in a lot of willpower. You're going to have all this stress and struggle and challenges. It's going to be super hard. So the fastest way we do it is get to the core. Let's break this belief right here. I can't handle stress. Is that universally true? No. Okay, so what is true? I can handle stress. How are you going to think then moving forwards? If you believe that you can handle stress and you're going into your day, you're going to start thinking in ways of, I'll crush it, right? I got this. And then how is that going to make you feel? It's not going to make you feel stressed. It's going to make you feel confident because that's what you're focused on. And then when you're confident, you're going to take action that way. It's like, I don't need a cigarette. I'm not even stressed. I don't need a cigarette, right? I got this. I'm good. And then what you're going to get is you're still going to get that feeling, right? But the feeling now is going to come from the confidence. The feeling is going to make you feel great, right? The stress made you feel relieved when you smoke that cigarette or whatever it may be. But now it's going to give you a different feeling. And we keep forming that over and over and over and over again. And again, that just becomes who you are and what you do. Someone who can handle stress easily, who doesn't need to continue to act in those ways, to have those patterns, those actions, whatever it may be. And here's what I'll say is that if you find that you cannot get past this part here with the belief system, it's just because there's an underlying fear. And typically the fear is that we don't actually want to change it. And usually because there's some sort of fear of what we think it might cause us or pain or it's going to be hard or we make this sort of meaning or we define it in a certain way that makes it so scary. Here's what I will say. Anything that you say or think of that is limiting, I always want you to explore it because you should never feel limited. You should always, always, I know for myself personally and my clients that the more and more and more I empower myself, I empower my beliefs about myself, I feel more powerful in a healthy, good way, like confidence, I can do this, that style of things, right? The more and more that I do that, I notice the more and more better I feel. The same thing with my clients as well. Nobody wants to feel limited. It's not a good feeling. So empower yourself as much as possible. Do that self exploration. Find those fears, find the limitations, rewire them, release them, and move forwards. So, and if you also want some help, you can DM me on Instagram at caden.hayward if you want some transformational coaching. So, the instant rewiring process here. So the instant rewiring process is number one, you find the limiting belief, like I'm not happy, I can't handle stress, right? Let's say you smoke weed and you find the limiting belief of I'm not happy. That's why I need to smoke weed to feel a little bit happier, right? Well, is that universally true that you're not happy and that you always will be not happy and that you always were not happy? No. So what is the truth then? I can be happy on my own, right? I can be happy on my own. And then we change the rewiring. So find the limiting belief, okay? So reflection, find the pattern, and find that limiting belief. Then rewire it and release it. And then you change the pattern and also change in your environment. So some extra actions here, guys, that you can take is number one, a new habit stack. Stack your new habit on top of a current habit that you already have. All right. So for example, if you want to start working out and you go to work, well, then right after work, make it common to go to the gym. Habit stack. You go pee in the morning, in the AM. After that, you drink water. Okay, you drink water. Example like that, habit stack. Number two is throw away slash remove the stuff, right? It's like I always shared this when I was purely just doing weight loss coaching. I'd always share this with my clients. Like if you're trying to cut out a sugar habit, if you're trying to cut out a bad habit with eating, why are you still buying why would we still buy those snacks and those foods and keep them around? It's like a smoker saying, I'm going to quit smoking, but they keep a pack of cigarettes right by their keys when they're walking out the door. The temptation's always there. We're setting ourselves up for failure. So the fastest way is out of sight, out of mind. Let me repeat that. Out of sight, out of mind. Throw it away, remove it, get it out. Next, number three is focus and friends. And I say friends as in another example for environment. All right. If you're trying to quit smoking, well, it might not be best to hang out with friends who are always smoking, at least for a little while until you fully make the changes. And the easiest way to explain this is that you're just setting yourself up for success, right? Or you could ask the friends not to smoke around you. That's also good as well. And then focus every day. You got to keep focused on what you truly do want and not go back into that 95% of our programming, our unconscious self, right? The subconscious. So we got to stay focused. And then number four is embody the new self. Think, be, act, feel as that new self that you want to be now. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the training. So if you do love this training, guys, please support it. I would really appreciate it. YouTube shows me that about 80 to 90% of our viewers are not subscribed. So if you could leave subscription subscribe if you did benefit off this training, that would be awesome. I appreciate it so much. And I really do hope this benefit you though. And if you have any more questions, I'm always one message away. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next training.